guessing most of you by this point watched the Raszageth and Alexstrasza fight cinematic, where Raszageth says how Alexstrasza had forced the Titan edicts upon them and how she betrayed the world that gave the proto-dragon's life. Now, she is actually telling the truth, as this ties in with the old Uldaman reveals of the Titan Keepers. It also ties in with the Dragonflight artbook that talks about how the Well of Eternity might have been created by the Titans and it was not Azeroth whatsoever. Overall, a significant amount of new hints are pointing that Azeroth literally has nothing to do with the Titans and that these guys are just a Black Empire 2.0, just quite a bit nicer, and they may actually end up being the bad guys at the end of this expansion. So what is all this new information, and are we really going to be fighting the Titans? Just real quick before we get into the video, as you guys know, I've been using the Ridge wallet for well over 2 years at this point, and it is literally the only wallet that I've used since. Now, additionally, Ridge started creating key cases as well, and they sent me this awesome looking one. Now, best of all, if you use my link in the description below, you can save up to 40% off until December 22nd. So make sure to use my code DORON and check out my link in the description below. So, in order to not regurgitate the same info a million times, you can check out some of the previous videos I made for the really detailed information, but overall, there has been an obvious but quite a significant push to make the Titans grey and to split Azeroth away from the entire "this is a world soul that needs to awaken" narrative. This actually started quite a bit earlier, but the main point was in Shadowlands, when we had that broker researcher guy that wanted to learn how the universe truly works, and he traveled everywhere all across the cosmos. To not bore you, to make the long story short, what he learned about Azeroth in particular is that most of the people there were brainwashed by the Titans and that they fully bought into their lies. It was said that the first ones are really the true creators of everything and that the Titans are literally just taking credit for their work, so just slapping some branding and just calling it their own. This is already old info, but this was further confirmed in the Uldaman records, like directly by the Titan minions. From one of the letters, we discovered that what this broker had researched was pretty much exactly spot on, and it was really an elaborate plan of the Titan Keepers to do so. We learned that the Titan Keepers had two really specific instructions. First is to completely alienate the Black Empire, rewrite the history, make them all bad, deny all their advancements, and just straight out paint them as demons. The second one is that they forbade any talk about the first ones, even between themselves, and that from now on, the Titans are to be known as the true creators. We also learned that there is a Zereth Orders for the beings of order, similar to how we have Zereth Mortis from the Shadowlands, and that apparently the first ones had granted the Titans their powers in Zereth Orders. This means that more than likely the entire Titan Pantheon was made from the prototypes in much the same manner as the Pantheon of the Shadowlands. So now the logic these beings of order used is, well, kind of bending the logic to their own side. So unless something is ordered, it can't set to be created, therefore we ordered it, which means we created it. This also kind of goes to show you just how fanatical and dogmatic the Titans really are. So to not bore you with this crazy Shadowlands mambo jumbo, this really brings us to some interesting information. You can 100% see this theme all across Dragonflight, and now that the expansion is literally out, from the most recent Raszageth cinematic you can see this too. We still don't know how it all went down at this point in time, but Raszageth may actually be fully telling the truth. The lead narrative guy from Blizzard in an interview literally said that the Primalists are not the bad guys, they actually have a legit point. However, they wanted to enforce their demands in such a terrible manner that they ultimately became villains, which is the entire gigantic war that Alexstrasza references. The most important point is that they were actually right. Keep in mind, this is what Raszageth, the youngest of the Primal Incarnates, essentially the elemental dragon aspect, says. You forced the Titan edicts upon us. You betrayed the world that gave us life, and when we dared resist you, you cast us out. When you examine it, this statement actually holds a lot of truth, because literally this is what the Titans had actually done. We have two really interesting bits of information, one from the Dragonflight artbook and the second from, once again, the Uldaman documents, and they all pretty much say the exact same thing. There was this water source for the dragons, and Yogg-Saron had used it to create Galakrond and to just wreak havoc upon the Titan ruled world. So the Titans decided to cleanse these waters and instead to infuse it with their own power. However, either than this, they kind of decided to go 2 steps even further. They created a filtration system from the Titan facility to pump arcane, which is order magic, into the so-called world soul of Azeroth, and in that regards, they very subtly turned dragons into Titan dragons and forced them to follow the Titans' philosophies. Blizzard actually confirmed in an interview that this was not mind control, but kind of a really sophisticated corruption. However, what the art book reveals is even more stunning, and that is that not only did the Titans corrupt the dragons, but this might have actually been an effort to turn Azeroth into a Titan, and that is where the entire story comes in. Keep in mind, the entire perspective that we have about the so-called Azeroth world soul comes from the Chronicle, which is now known to be clear Titan propaganda. They say that Azeroth is an nascent Titan that needs the right conditions to awaken. However, all the new info is showing us that this is not true whatsoever. The new book literally tells us that Azeroth is elemental in nature, and this actually makes total sense. We have known before that the elementals are the only true native beings to planets, so it kind of makes sense that Azeroth is elemental as well. Azeroth is without a doubt a super potent power source, but that is really as far as we can take it. There's probably a heavy connection between the world and the first ones. Furthermore, the naming convention is also incredibly important. All these behind the scenes, these machineries are called such as Zereth Mortis, Zereth Ordis, and we know that there is one for every cosmological force. The name is just so incredibly similar to Azeroth that it just doesn't really need a second thought. From the Shadowlands, we know that the various cosmological forces were probably just in an all-out war, and that the first ones came in, established balance, but nonetheless, it is highly likely that they all continue to vie for supremacy. So Raszageth is actually right. Alexstrasza really did betray the world that gave them life. All these guys are almost certainly invaders and are doing their own thing, pushing their own agenda. The Titans more than likely didn't save Azeroth from the Black Empire, but the Black Empire was literally only one of their competitors. You can observe this from some of the whispers that you can see when you travel to the really ancient past, right in Dragonflight, to the times of the Black Empire. Here are just some of the whispers you can hear. Her dreams sing beneath the surface. Our dreams, our song. With many eyes they will see again. They will drink and be uplifted. This, in my opinion, is literally the old god versions of what the Titans have been doing all this time. When the Titans came in, they told us that the old gods attempted to corrupt the nascent Titan, but from all these hints, the real story seems to be more like we stopped them from taking Azeroth for the Void, so instead we're going to take it for ourselves. The source for Azeroth being a Titan world soul is literally the Titan version of, trust me bro, like there's literally not much more than that. So the Titans got rid of the old god presence and started instead pumping Azeroth with arcane energy through all these facilities that they built by using the Titan Forged in order to enforce this order. This did 2 things: turned Azeroth into a mega titan and also corrupted the native beings so that they will aid them in the process and to defend them against the other invaders. This, when you think about it, is literally what the old gods did. Turned the native elementals into their servants that defended against the Titan invasion, but the only difference here is that the old gods actually lost this war. We have this information from the art book that talks about the Titans pumping the so-called Wellspring of Eternity with arcane, turning it from elemental into more than likely the Well of Eternity, the most potent magic source that you know of. Previously, it was said that this well was created by aman'thul ripping out Y'Shaarj, so this was a wound, but it is likely that this part of Azeroth is some incredibly powerful part of Azeroth, which is why Y'Shaarj was probably planted there in the first place. However, more than likely, Azeroth didn't actually bleed arcane, it bled elemental magic, and the Titans used that wound to literally change the world soul to the core, to like pump it up to become a Titan. What is even more interesting is that a few years back, Blizzard said something along the lines of Azeroth will never awaken. They were more talking about how we are all Azeroth. It's not Azeroth is this Titan, but we're all part of it. However, this could be a super interesting hint because maybe Azeroth isn't actually meant to awaken. Azeroth might just be a power source that is meant to keep this first one mechanism in place to power all these Zereths, and by turning the power source into their weapon, whatever cosmological force takes it is going to win the ultimate struggle. Of course, a lot of this stuff is still in the hint phase, so we can't really say any of this with like 100% certainty. However, it is incredibly likely that we might actually end up fighting the Titans in this expansion, and that they could be the ultimate villains, and that we could also see the dragon aspects distancing themselves from their true masters. Thank you for watching. Check out how Northrend was updated by clicking on the screen, and check out Doronsmovies Academy for videos on real world history. See you next time.